What's up, guys? Kulprit here, and today I wanted to continue our train of thought from last week where I talked about kind of the future looking towards Battlefield 4. You know, I talked about Bad Company 3 versus Battlefield 4, and then I talked about some of my hopes and how I hope that DICE approaches Battlefield 4, that type of thing, but looking forward. So I figured, you know, this week, next several videos, I would kind of look at each class individually, and because I think we all can agree that the classes in Battlefield 3 need some revamping, they need some rebalancing, they need some love. To make the game, Battlefield 4 that is, much more balanced overall. So I figured I'd take a video a day and we'd look at each class and we kind of open a discussion, because a lot of you guys had really great comments in those two videos I did and made me think, and that's kind of why I do this, and I hope that's why you watch my videos. So I thought it'd be fun to kind of just like break it down and let's talk about each class. Let's see if we can come up with some ideas and some concepts that we think would work. Whether it'll ever make the game or not, that will remain to be seen. But first, let me introduce this video. This is Rush Attack. I'm playing with a bunch of the 008 guys. It's a little bit older as well. I'm going back on the hard drive a little bit, but this one kind of stuck around on the hard drive for two reasons. You'll see me doing some work in the Amtrak, which you don't see me in vehicles very much. It's not the whole video, I promise you that, but it was pretty fun, pretty action-packed. And you'll notice that we are playing with the Russian Badger, so I figured you guys might get a kick out of us playing with the old Catfish. He has since, I guess, been banned, I've been told. I don't know, I don't really subscribe to his channel any longer, but I used to enjoy his stuff. So I figured you guys might get a kick out of that. So what did I want to talk about? Basically, I'm going to lead off with the medic class. Now, I'm not talking about the assault class. For the intention of this video, I'm going to break the medic class on its own, because that's how I feel like it should be. I think we can all agree, whether we agree on details or how to fix or anything like that, that's besides the point. I think we can all agree that the medic assault hybrid in Battlefield 3 just doesn't work. Well, it works too well, I think, is the problem. It's just imbalanced. It's just way too useful to have the best equipment with the best weapons all around. I'm not saying every single situation, so relax on that comment button, guys. But yeah, I think we can all agree that needs to be changed, and it needs to be split apart. And roughly, basically, I guess what I'm talking about here is making one more class. There would be assault class, there would be a medic class, there would be an engineer class, there would be a support class, there would be a recon class. It's nothing crazy. It's one more class, not a big deal. The reason is because I don't like the pairing of the most useful and powerful, potentially, tools and gadgets, that being the revive and healing functions, paired with the most useful and potentially powerful weapon being the all-around assault rifle. I mean, listen, I remember the day that DICE announced that that's how it was going to be for Battlefield 3, and I was incredibly happy, because I hated that predicament in Bad Company 2, and I'm going to get into it in a minute. But every time I died in Bad Company 2 and I was playing with friends, I always had that decision. You know, I kind of wanted to go assault because I liked the assault rifles. I felt more comfortable with them, and I felt like it made me the highest lethality I could be. But I really wanted to play medic because I felt like, knowing my skill set at the time especially, I felt like I brought the most value to the team in the medic role. I was not a slayer by any means. I'm still not. I was not a high KD guy. I was not going to go 40 and 5. But if I work my butt off, I could keep that guy who went 40 and 5. I could keep him alive, and he can get a lot more kills. Maybe he can go 60 and 8. You know, that kind of thing. So, and I still feel that. I still love the medic class. It's my favorite overall class in games. I love it. I think it's just, you know, I'm a selfless kind of team player guy, and I love that. I love the fact that I can literally almost carry a squad on my back if played correctly. You have to disregard KD and things like that. Personal glory, so to speak, for the assist, I guess is what you'd say, you know. So, I mean, I think the first order of business would clearly be to break up the weapons. So, the medic, and I should note that for these conversations, for these dialogues and debates, I'm going to try to keep it in the parameters of Battlefield 3 as much as possible. I'm not going to just, you know, throw pie-in-the-sky ideas out there. I'm going to try to do things that are somewhat already developed, will be relatively easy to implement. I'm not just going to design a whole new system, okay? So you'll see what I mean right here. I'm going to say that a medic class, a new medic class moving into Battlefield 4, should use the SMGs. Yes, I'm aware that engineers use SMGs, but why can't two classes use them? I don't understand. If it fits and it helps balance, I don't see the problem with it. And I do think that SMGs fit a medic much better. I've told you guys before in other videos, I did not like the marriage of LMGs with medics. It just didn't feel right for, you know, just immersion, I guess, and some of you might just roll your eyes at that, and I understand some of you don't care about that, but the idea of this medic, who, if you've ever seen a medic in real life, they carry more equipment than the average guy, because, you know, they have a lot of supplies, and then to couple that with a toting LMG with all that ammo, it just didn't work for me, and it bothered me as I played. But not only that, I just didn't think the play really meshed well. You had this LMG suppressing fire. You're supposed to be on the gun with an LMG, you know, fairly stationary if you're playing it. You know, you're holding down quadrants and you know, that kind of thing, watching troop movements. Whereas a medic is almost like they don't have their eyes on the front line. They don't really look towards the enemy. They're looking towards their own players. A lot of times with their back to the enemy or looking down at the ground as they're helping a fallen comrade. So the marriage between an LMG and that type of weapon system, I'm sorry, didn't work with a medic in my opinion. So I feel like, you know, we've seen other games do the medic class with just shotguns or something like that. I don't like that because I feel like that's going too far, because I think you shouldn't have to sacrifice the first-person shooter aspect of the game just to be a medic. So I feel like an SMG would be really good. I mean, think about in Battlefield 3 right now. You could run the M4 and you can get really close to an AR, but you're not quite there. Admittedly, you're not quite there. So as you run across the assault guys with the AEKs and the M16s, you're going to be at a disadvantage gun on gun. But you're going to have the value that you have all this other value that you're giving to your team. You're still going to have the Slayer, the tryhard killer guys that are going to go assault class because they couldn't give a damn about their team. Guys like me, though, I'm going to take my M4, something like that, that's going to get me relatively close, do just about what I want. It's just not going to dominate. It's not going to be the best gun on the map. It's going to be able to get the job done, but I'm also going to be able to keep my team alive, keep our squad moving, get that flank on, get work done, and win the match. And I think that would be a really kind of productive marriage there. Now, once we get past the weapons, I mean, I think it's pretty obvious that, excuse me, healing and reviving is really just too easy in Battlefield 3. I mean, think about it. Your buddy runs across the road, he gets shot in the middle of the road. He's laying on the yellow line. Wide open, snipers everywhere. You, as the medic, know that you can run out, serpentine, you know, duck, dive, bunny hop, and all you have to do is literally run over your buddy's dead body. You don't even have to look down. Hit the revive tools out, hit the button, he will instantly revive, and you don't even skip a step and you're running to the other side of the street. Does that make any sense to anybody? Or how about this, like, you know, the med pack that you could, you know, passively throw at somebody's feet or throw at your own feet preemptively, stand over this magic pack, and be literally in gunfights as you're getting a bullet hit, your health is going up. I mean, think of it from the other side. It's so frustrating when you got a guy, you know, head glitching or whatever, and you're plinking them off, getting those hit markers, excuse me, and they seem like they take 8, 9, 10 hit markers. That's because he's sitting on a med pack. I don't like that. Shouldn't be like that. To me, healing and reviving should be an active skill. It's comparable within Battlefield 3 to like a reload. Excuse me, I'm having a little congestion here. You want to compare it to something in Battlefield 3? Let's compare it to reloading a belt-fed LMG. Take the M60, make a healing function. You know, you can make some kind of, you know, animation for it. Obviously, they're very talented over at DICE. And you can just have it take about the same amount of time as reloading the M60. I would almost say longer, frankly. But healing is okay. Healing can be in that range. Now, reviving, to me, should take quite a while. You know, reviving is a big thing. It should only be done when you have security and you know that, you know, the enemy's not going to run up on you. You should be incredibly exposed. Both the victim and the medic should be incredibly exposed. If someone does run up on you while you're doing it, you should both be dead. That's how I feel about it. I feel like they should be active skills. It shouldn't be something that, you know, that you can throw a med pack down. You know, that's your medic function. At the same time, you got a gun on your shoulder, aiming down sights, killing people. You have to. Almost, I feel like when you take on the medic role, your primary function is to heal and keep your team up. You get in a gunfight only out of self-defense, or if you're last man standing. So if you have 3 of your squad mates up and you're trying to push a flank, you're almost running with your medical supplies first, so that you can immediately get in the heal. You know, but I understand I might take it hardcore a little more than most people. speaking of taking it a little further than most people, I mean, maybe you would want to institute, and I don't know, I haven't really thought this through so much. I kind of like the idea, but I haven't, maybe you guys can tell me, a limited number of heals, a limited number of revives. You know, if you're going to use it wouldn't work with defibs, I guess, but, you know, just say maybe you've got 10 revives, you've got X amount of bandages for heals, but that could also be resupplied via support. So now you have to be a lot smarter as a medic. You know, when do I heal? You don't heal the 5 points of damage. You would wait until you could heal, you know, at least like say a bullet's worth, 30 points. That's something like that. 20, 30 points is worth a heal. 10 points is not. And now think about how the gunfights might change there, because now everybody's not always going to be at 100% health. This guy's got to really think, you know, should I heal him right now? Should I not? Same thing with revives. I mean, maybe I only have 5 revives, and we're running around a flank. If I don't revive him, he's probably got time to respawn on us, so maybe I'll save that revive. And then in doing all this, you're making the support class more valuable, because now he can resupply medics as well as bullets and grenades and things like that, so it just adds value to him too. So I'm sure there's some pitfalls there, so maybe you guys could tell me that. Now, for some of you guys that haven't really played this this game, DayZ, I'm going to compare it to, or I guess I should say Arma 2, I guess, is more accurate. They're probably the closest that I know of off the top of my head to this system. And in that game, to heal a teammate, you cannot heal yourself. I guess you can eat food, but actively, say in a gunfight, you can't really heal wounds of your own. What you have to do is you have to be healed by someone else using blood bags. And this is actually kind of a cumbersome, much like a lot of things are in DayZ and Arma, a cumbersome process that's very hard to do mid gunfight. And that's what a lot of people talk about when they talk about the UI in Arma and DayZ being very clunky, very cumbersome, and it's a pain in the ass, but at the same time, there's a certain romanticism that's developed over it, because it's very limiting, and that kind of limitation really kind of gets really great in the middle of a firefight, because people aren't able to, you know, just loot a dead body immediately. You can't just pick up a kit. You can't just run by, hold down E, and pick up a kit. You know, you actively have to get on your hands and knees, go through the guy's kit, take what you want, these types of things. So the cumbersome and then the lengthy actions, you know, make those gunfights more realistic and lifelike. And I know we cringe at those words when talking about video games. So, you know, the blood bags, you have to almost like lay on your stomachs to be a little secure, and one guy blood bags the other guy, and it takes some time. It takes a good 15 seconds or so for the health to be rejuvenated. While doing so, neither of those guys can fight. You know, they're basically out of the fight. They're very vulnerable. I think it's probably the prototypical system, no, not exactly, but in concept, that I would use personally. So guys, I'm hitting about the 13-minute mark. It's a long video, obviously, but I could talk about this for a long time. Again, I love medics. I love the process of healing and reviving. I think it's one of the most important facets of FPS shooters, and if not exactly done right, which I'm not going to say Battlefield 3 does it wrong, but I think it could do it better. And I think for the sake of balance and strategic and tactics, it could be done a lot better, and it could add a lot more layers to the overall experience. So again, guys, let me know what you guys think. I'm really looking to open a discussion in the comments. I'd really love to hear your ideas. Like I said, the idea of this video is to open a debate, open a discussion. Let's put our thinking caps on it and kind of brainstorm a little bit. Thanks so much for listening, guys. I hope you were entertained while you watched and listened, and I will talk to you soon, guys. Take care.